Today we're shooting waterfalls with this beautiful beast. This is a Nikon D300 semi-professional camera. This was actually the first DSLR I ever had. And yeah, we're gonna do some waterfall photography. So let's go. So first setup of the day here with the Nikon. We're right next to the waterfall. Sorry about the audio. I got a CPL on it. I got an ND filter on it. And yeah, we're gonna try to get some shots. First thing I noticed, this camera doesn't have live view on it. So I'm used to kind of using the back of the camera to kind of judge my shots. But now I'm kind of forced to go back to old school. And I put my eye by the viewfinder. So here we go. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Let's go. All right, another location here. Gonna venture out onto this rock in front of me. There's a bunch of rapids here, and we're gonna try to go for a low angle shot and see what we can do. Hopefully I don't fall and break my neck here, but you know, it'll probably happen because that's just how it is with me. I'm a little accident prone. I'm a little klutzy, so this is it. Right here, first rock, almost fell on that one. Man, I really wanna be here. Oh, shit. Well, there goes the foot. I knew it. I should have just wore boots and been done with it. It's funny. This camera doesn't have live view. So I keep looking at the back of the camera to see my shot because I'm so used to just using live view now. And like the viewfinder to me is alien. So it's kind of been struggling with that a little bit. So I've never been this far down on the trail before, and it's actually a pretty cool area. There's a little pine tree grove here I'm kind of standing in right now. Some ferns behind me and some mossy rocks. Typical kind of stuff I guess you find in Pennsylvania. But yeah, it's pretty neat here. So, and that brings up a good point. A lot of people ask me, you know, does the camera system really matter? And you know, it's a double-edged sword. So I do shoot on a Fujifilm. I do shoot on a medium format camera. Gives me a lot of dynamic resolution, gives me a lot of image quality. But really what it comes down to two things: composition and the light. If the light is good and the composition is good, you've got a good photo. And you can make that photo with a 12 megapixel camera that's 20 years old. So that's kind of what we're doing today. We're just here, we're experimenting a little bit with this camera and just to see what happens. Having a bad hair day like always. So that's it for this part of the video. Now, through the power of editing, we're gonna go back to the studio and see what the photos look like. So back at the office now, taking a look at the shots that we got today. And my plan for today was just to go out and try to shoot with a camera that was over 20 years old. Try to see what the difference was from what I shoot now to what I used to shoot with in the past. And I gotta tell you, I had some challenges. One of the things that I noticed with the camera right off the bat is there's a general lack of sharpness. A lot of the shots seem really unsharp. That might have something to do with the lens. Some of the other things I've noticed is there's no live view on the camera, so obviously that's a problem. And the camera's actually very slow. When you take a shot, it takes a couple seconds for it to write to the card. It uses CF cards, it doesn't use SD cards. So the card I was using has a really slow write speed and makes it kind of difficult. You have to wait a couple extra seconds for the shot to go through, so something I really wasn't used to. Overall, it was interesting. So I've got 4 shots on the computer here. We'll just go through them real quick. So the first shot here is just a basic wood shot. I haven't done a lot of retouching on any of these. These are pretty much straight out of camera. Just a little bit of brightness and contrast, and that's basically it. Not really even white balance. The white balance is kind of the same. So like I said, this was the first shot here. You know, it looks good. And I think for social media, you could get away with using, this camera. But if you really zoom in at 100% and you really start to look around, you can see some areas like right down here that are soft. Some areas back in here that are soft too. And if I take it to 400%, it really starts to show. There's also a lot of grain in the image. I mean, it was an image that was shot at 200 ISO, but there's still a lot of grain in it. Oh, look, there's actually some dust spots here. It's not one of my best shots, obviously. It's just more for demonstration, but first image in the can. So, second image here was that area that had that little creek running through with all these ferns and stuff in the background. This was a really, really dark image, and there's really not much of an image here. Interesting thing about it is the camera is handling highlights pretty well, but it does have a tendency to blow out a little bit up top. So obviously, if you're going to shoot with a camera like this is something you want to keep in mind. So this is that waterfall shot that we took here, one of the last shots, and by no means is this a good image. There's distractions here, right here in this area. There's a distraction here on the left, and there's a couple distractions over here. The waterfalls are kind of nice, but they're just a little bit overexposed, and I actually shot this really, really, really dark. So this is what the original actually looked like. And then if I, just reset my settings, you can see I just cropped in on it and gave it a little bit of brightness, and that was it. If I had to go back with this camera and do it again, I'd want to go on a different day. I'd want to have a stronger ND filter with me and be able to actually slow some of the water down. Something that's interesting here about this image is like all these trees back in here. Like I've noticed on this camera, the green channel or the green color space or whatever you want to call it really, really, really seems to pick up well. And all this stuff behind me is just really lit up in the image, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So this is the last shot of the day. This is right near that waterfall area at the very end. This image is okay. I think for social media, it's going to be fine. This is actually what it looked like. Originally, it was really dark, about 4 stops under. And then I cleaned up a couple little things here and just brought it up to what it is. Is it my best image? No. But what's really interesting is, once again, I mentioned how the green channel on this camera just seems to be really hot. And it seems like it pulls a lot of greens in here. I'm not sure why that is. And how does this image look in black and white? We'll just suck all the saturation out. It's interesting because, I took all the saturation out. And I'll take all this vibrance down too. And this is kind of what I'm getting. It's not a bad image in black and white. It actually looks really good. My only thing is that there's really no tone or to the whole image. The other thing is it looks good at 100%. As soon as you go in a little further, you can see it really falls apart. This is at 400%. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of banding. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. If I look at 200%, you can actually really see it. And like I said, this is ISO 200, and I believe this was a 1-second exposure. And I can tell you that with my Fuji medium format system, this thing would be clean. Like, you would not believe how clean this image was. But there's actually a lot of grain in here. There's a lot of sensor noise, and my sensor's kind of dirty too, so there's a few sensor spots. So that's it for the video today. And like I said, this is just a really quick comparison. I plan to actually go back out with my actual medium format camera and the Nikon and just shoot them and see what it's like, see what 20 years difference is actually like. I'm interested to find out. Overall, I think the images came out okay. The image quality is decent. It's just not as clean as our modern day sensors, and they are lacking some features you don't see in our modern day cameras. So thanks for watching the channel. Like and subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.